experience stress, either physical or emotional, a hormone called cortisol is released into our bloodstream. Maybe you've heard of cortisol before. Maybe you know that it's somehow related to stress, but that's pretty much all you know. Cortisol helps us cope with stress, so we need it to survive. If our bodies didn't produce cortisol, then we could literally die from stress. To better understand what cortisol does, there are 3 key points to remember. First off, as I mentioned, cortisol levels in the bloodstream increase when we're stressed. Secondly, cortisol is considered to be a catabolic hormone, which is basically a fancy way of saying that it breaks things down, like, for example, muscle tissue. And number 3, cortisol also suppresses inflammation. So maybe you or a friend had a cortisone shot in the past, which is synthetic cortisol, to fight off some swelling of some kind. As athletes, we put our bodies through a lot of stress, so we produce a lot of cortisol. Cortisol targets our muscles, fat stores, and our liver. It breaks down the proteins in our muscles into their building blocks, which are called amino acids. It also breaks down fat into its building blocks. All of these kind of byproduct building block things are then used by the liver in a process called gluconeogenesis, which is just a fancy way of saying that it makes new glucose for our body. So lots of cortisol results in an increase in blood glucose and a breakdown of muscle. Though that doesn't sound so awesome, it's actually not a bad thing. The new glucose is then used by our bodies to fight stress, whether that be infection, fear, sickness, nerves, or just pounding the pavement. As for the broken down muscle, it then needs some time to repair itself. In the long term, this tissue breakdown ultimately makes us stronger, but in the short term, we need to make sure that we're supplying our muscles with the protein they need in order to properly recover. So there you have it. That's just a very small little snippet about cortisol and what it does for your body as an athlete. Next time, I'm going to be back talking about your resting heart rate and a little bit about your stroke volume. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for topics that you'd like me to explore in the future, let me know. I would love to hear it. Thank you.